You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NOLYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches.
Truth on Tap. Truth.
My right to say how I say it's mine to give. My length, my heart, it's mine to share. My son's my heart.
Truth on Tap.
Invite to use. Just the way to use. You can call it or to find. Chop it up and recombine. Chop it up and recombine.
White people don't rap, please. But let's have some black rappers. Genghis featuring Stereo Blackstar, Super Negro. These are French black rappers. But even French black rappers understood the hood a little bit better than the average white rapper coming up, wouldn't you say? Oh, it's fakeness I'm after, folks, and I gotta be careful today. Gotta be careful today. You know why? My very good friend, Chris Levesque, who helps me co-host my Washington Capitals show during hockey season, has put up a 7-day Be Positive challenge. It is what it sounds like. I passed that challenge on to all of you. Go 7 days without being negative to anybody or behaving negatively. Do something extra for somebody. Pay it forward. Smile at people. Give them a compliment, a genuine compliment. Can you do that? Why would you choose not to? If you won't do that, fuck you, I say. Because the world needs a little bit more positive. Oh, wait, I just said fuck you. All right, I retract that. I'm asking you to please do that. I'm doing it, so please do that. I will have to retract a few statements because you people who are listeners to radio shows love it when a host attacks somebody. And I've fallen into the trap. Attack was not in my nature ever before I started this show a year ago. I've fallen into the trap. So yes, I am now prepared to lose even more listeners. Since I came out with my Put Your Hands Up commercial that lost me so many listeners, I don't care. It's me, it's who I am. One thing you're getting here is real. You will not get somebody who will play to beef up that commercial attractiveness. No. Now, I promised you something today. I promised you I was going to make a rap about white dudes rapping. Well, I kept my promise, but it's not that long. See, I had no time. I did all of this in an hour. Found the song, corrected the tempo, tried to write the lyrics. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that. I'm going to go ahead and make fun of the white rapper. In the interest of exposing and eradicating fakeness. That's what I'm trying to do here. That's really what I'm trying to do. You're listening to the No Network Radio Network Truth on Tap on September 2nd, 2014 at 1 p.m. My stepdaughter-to-be is back to school today. She is the ever-hunting predator of the deeper education, a factoid of which I am particularly proud. Very proud of her. Straight A student. Knows that education is important. Knows it. You don't have to teach her that. She knows it. She already has it. Going into 8th grade and knows it. Get your kids to know how important it is. Show them. Take them to the ghetto. Say, these are the people that don't graduate. Take them to Beverly Hills. Say, these are the people that graduated or knew a Jew. I mean, how they get there is not important, right? It's just that they know the tools to get there. In fact, I've got a special treat for you today outside of the white rap music. I got a special treat for you today, folks. Yeah, we've got some new staff. Yeah.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
That was Wes Johnson, great voiceover actor as well as a general actor. He's been in video games you've played almost certainly. WesJohnson.com, not West, but Wes. Scratch the T. It's WesJohnson.com. Please find him. He's very skilled. You can hire him for your projects, as I did for mine. I love the guy. He's also the Washington Capitals arena announcer. I think he's exploding with talent. I mean, film, radio, he does all of that. If it's something you do in front of people to entertain, he does that. Well, not everything, because I know what some of you are thinking already. And you're thinking about someone who is going naked. No, I'm not going there. I don't know if Wes does it. I presume he does not. I can't say assume anymore because how can I stay positive here? People were beginning to say, don't say assume. That makes an ass out of you and me. And my response was, not really. It just makes an ass out of you. Because the word assume has been what has saved us in a great many trillion situations in our past. If I see 5 saber-toothed tigers kill the hunting party I'm with, and now I see a 6th, I'm going to assume that he's not my friend. And I'm going to walk away, maybe even run. Assumptions can save your life. So no, it doesn't make an ass out of you and me, just an ass out of you. And I say that so politely, so politely. Here's a hug with that, if I may. See, Chris, I'm trying, man. I'm staying on. I'm staying on your challenge. I'm staying positive. Listen, people, I preach positive all the time. But really, if you think about it, what do I really preach? Have I ever preached against neutral? Not once. Not once. I'm not preaching Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is so happy. Those types of people that are so happy, they can actually decrease your happiness because you begin to wonder what's making them so happy. I don't have that. So no, I'm not really preaching being super positive all the time. What I am preaching is get away from negative people. Seek out neutral people or positive people. I never ascertained a difference between neutral and positive when I gave you this advice. The idea is get the cancer out. Get the cancer out of your life. And social cancer is equal to negativity. If you know somebody who lives every damn day to complain about other people, places, or things, and they just love it, you got to get out of there. Get out of there. You're not going to change them. You can give them a month's notice. Say, look, I'm trying to surround myself with positive or neutral people. I don't want to be around people who often have negative things to say because that brings me down because I have empathy. I'm a human. I have empathy. So if you're complaining about something, I'm feeling suddenly your frustration with that thing, even if I don't share the opinion that you're sharing. So I need to get away from that. I need to just kind of put my blinders on, although they're auditory, and get that out of my face. Do that, get negativity out. But that doesn't mean that you have to replace it with fucking Mary Poppins. Just get negativity out. You know, just because you're shoveling shit out of an elephant stall does not mean you're putting a marble floor in. It just means you're getting the shit out. Okay? You can leave the dirt. The dirt's fine. Gotta be dirt. Dirt don't hurt. Remember that? When you'd eat it as a kid? Well, I didn't eat that much dirt, but I did eat a worm for $1. Yeah, sure did. $1 was worth more then. But I would eat a worm if I were starving, absolutely. I think you would too. If you've never been really hungry, you don't know. You'll say, I wouldn't touch that. Oh, no. Let's see if any of you fucktardian refugees have found your way to chat. Now, I have to say that in the most positive way possible, and therefore I'm not allowed to offend you in any way, okay? Because Chris would tell me that I had failed at his challenge. In fact, what I'm going to do, since I'm supposed to go above and beyond, is for my next show, whenever that should be, I'm going to play a commercial for you that advertises your show if you have one. If you have a business or some cause you believe in and you don't have a commercial for it, let me know. I'll make a commercial for it. And I'll go ahead and put that on during my next couple of shows. I'll do that for free, no charge. And that's my way of saying, hey, I appreciate you guys listening, and I am sticking to my boy Chris's positivity challenge. Hey, Dyslex, ass here first. Positive guy, not a fucktard, though. I think we're all fucktards, Dyslex. It's a matter of degree. But you know, maybe I'm wrong. What happened with you the other night? Could you tell me if it was alcohol involved when you started going ban? You snapped. You went ban crazy. And I'm not accusing you of that. I wasn't even there. It's just what I heard. And I'm curious, you know, you seem like you regret it. So that seems like a kind of odd thing. Like most people that do things on a radio show, they're very proud of it. Yeah, I banned that bastard. And you seem to be pulling back from whatever attitude had you banning people. So I'm curious about that. Dyslex in the chat room. I'll do a commercial for you too, Dyslex. Hopefully you have one already prepared. If so, send me the MP3. For those of you that do have MP3s you can send, or audio files, send them to whatsthedeal@yahoo.com. That's WUTZ, the deal, just like it sounds, at yahoo.com. Send me that file and I will work it into one of my next few shows. Let's stay away from extreme racism or extreme sexism or bragging about felonies, that type of thing. Anything else goes. If you hate Obama, you love Obama. You hate white people, you hate black people, but you're not being too vile with it. I'll still play your commercial. I'm all for free speech, but I don't need anything on here that, even if it gets ratings, is just from a root of anger. That's not good for my show. I can't air that commercial, but I'll help you rewrite one that would be acceptable, that still passes your idea out to my listeners. I told you guys were in for a treat today, and I goddamn well meant it. And Chris would not approve of that. He's a Christian. I'm sorry, Chris. Dyslex says, I didn't snap. Listen to Alan's show. He had me call in and explain it. It was nothing at all. But you know how people are. They were stretching for some drama. Okay, I'll buy that, Dyslex. If you say that it was overblown, I'm good with that. We're done. We're done with the topic. He accidentally banned somebody or banned somebody that got under his skin but didn't really mean to. So let's let it go, folks. I'm down with that, Dyslex. Let's let it go. I have done things that I regret and immediately regretted, but I try to avoid those altogether now. I mean, I'm 42, so I feel like I've had some time to learn shit not to do that I will immediately regret. And in a way, even when I was younger, I would think like that. Don't do things you'll regret, including rap. You know, when I was in high school, rap was just coming out. I used to love to tinker around with it. One time we were at a prom party. I had one friend doing the beatbox, and I was rapping freestyle. Oh, it was fun, but we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, it was just silliness. Well, now there's white guys out there rapping that actually take themselves seriously, and here's the problem I have. And I'm going to share this with you in a positive way. White folks that are going to rap, that grew up in a middle class or above lifestyle, that never saw the inside of a ghetto as their home, it's important that you somehow relay the information that you're just being an artist, that you're not claiming to be from the hood. Somehow relay that. Put it at the beginning of your songs, or put it right on your album. Maybe even name yourself something like middle class white rapper. You know what I'm saying. Make it clear that you're not trying to sound hard, because you're not hard. Now, I put together a little white rap, the way a white rap should sound, but I only got half of it done. But because I promised it to you guys, I have to play this half. First, I'm going to play what a white rapper that's not that good. Now, Eminem, somebody like Eminem, he grew up in a pretty hard neighborhood, wouldn't you say? So in my mind, plus he's skilled. So he used to just get a rhyming dictionary and it didn't matter if his songs made any sense, but the last couple albums, he finally started making sense with his lyrics, and he did kind of come up in the hood. I mean, he did have a hard life. So I extend him the credibility with which he presents himself. I think it's accurate. Most white rappers, no, they didn't come up like that. Didn't happen. So here's what a white rapper today, who thinks he's hard but came up in probably upper middle class, I'm guessing, sounds like. Let's listen to this first, okay? This is Soup or Villains, called Gamer. Yeah, I'll talk during. I think he's even got a black friend that comes in to legitimize. You'll hear white people, they'll get a black person to come legitimize their rap. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he's probably 14, maybe. Yeah, turn it up whenever you do, because I'm hard. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear. How am I going to stay positive, Chris? Oh, here's a white kid. He's hard, y'all. He came from the hood. Oh, hey, Aaron. I'm trying to stay positive. I took a 7-day positivity challenge, and I'm listening to some 15-year-old white kid try to sound hard, and it's hurting me. It's hurting my spirit. I don't think I can let this song finish, guys. I can't. I can't. I'm getting evil. So if you do want to hear the rest of that song, I encourage you to go find a group called Soup or Villains with a Z, because that's gangster rather than an S, called Gamer. The problem I have is the fakeness of the presentation. If you come in trying to sound hard and you're not really hard, then you are presenting a fake persona. And maybe most people aren't bothered by that. I am. I want you to be who you are. If you're not who you want to be, become who you want to be. And then be who you are. Be who you are. So here's what I did. I put something together. You might like my little rap thing. I'll throw it up there. I don't care. It's very quick. Now, because I didn't finish this song and only got about halfway through, I'm not going to play the last half because it's only instrumental. But let's throw it up there. What's it going to hurt? Let's do it, I say.
The white rapper came clean, and since nobody else will do it, I will. Kev got balls, y'all. Let's show you the real plight of the white man. I want to give a shout out to Punky Dew and Grizzly B, who don't actually exist, because all my people are named John or Roger or some shit. But I will shout out to my home boys. It is home, right, with an L. I think it was named after Larry Holmes, who used to be a black singer. Home or home? I think it's home. They're telling me home. Shout out to all my home boys on Spreaker and iHeart, who have balls and intelligence, a rare combination out there. I want to holler at the newspaper guy, please don't toss the paper into my hydrangeas, if you could avoid that. I'm coming with that real shit right now with my middle-class hard knock story about how I had to graduate from public high school and seek loans for college. About how I wasn't hired for every single job I ever interviewed for, but was hired for most. How dare anybody skip over me? I'm white. I'm white. This is for all my home boys and the home girls who feel targeted as the masters, that are masters of disaster, because you're white. But it's also for white people who should not be rapping. There's a G on the end of that. You see what I did there? You see the enunciation? This is for whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians. Learn your language. Okay, get the G on the end of the ing word. Are you feeling me? Yeah, you're feeling that. That's grammar 101. That's English 101 in college. I like tractors, but that doesn't factor into the fact that hackers like to hack through my Hewlett Packard. The bastards are just another disaster who's rapping because I hacked them. Now, blacks past the age of hating the mask up. For all the silent majority, our ladies from sororities only drop the dope cars when we're deep into our 40s. We like to talk black around blacks like we know that nigga soundtrack. When the real fact is we're white trash and the blacks are bringing on the backlash. Using hashtags for going hashtags and know the difference between the front and the backslash. But we lack cash, carrying card stash, so the black man can't steal a cash back. You can hear the message of the song if you put down your bunk. If you're white, you ought not to rap, ass. Yeah, cut that shit, white people. You're not cool. Don't act like you had a hard time. That's dumb shit there. Yeah. You say you're ing. You don't stop in apostrophe shit. Yeah. You've never heard a rhyme like this before. I guarantee goddamn shit. That's right. I'm ghetto. I'm ghetto to death, but mostly just middle class. Yeah. That's right. I'll bring in that white shit this time. Yeah.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
You know, I had to put something together because I told people I would. Now we're not ready for. Now I will play this later. It's funny. It's funny what happens when you go looking for music if you do a radio show. Here's the thing. All right, couple of things about music on your radio show. Most of us are talk show hosts. You know, Dislex does a talk show. He throws music on. I'm not sure about Aaron. I know most of my friends at least throw one or two songs on. So what we have to ask ourselves is this. First of all, you're not supposed to be on iHeartRadio if you have music longer than 30 seconds. This is why I started talking over some of my music, because I didn't want to get hooked on a technicality and kicked off of iHeart. Yeah, it was really quiet. Sorry about that, Aaron. I'm not an audio expert, and I had to like remove the noise and then level it all out, and I think I ended up quieting the whole song down. So maybe I'll just... Oh, Aaron's just a listener. Okay. Well, most people that come in my chat room have shows. It's the strangest thing. I don't know. I don't understand that psychology because, you know, I've been a radio show listener my whole life. The only time I ever even called in was to an NPR show when I was up in Northern Virginia. And I don't even remember what I said or what the topic was, but it was fun. It was that dude that sounds like he's from... like the Congo or something. I can't even remember his name. He's very well spoken, but has the African thing. I am actually doing a show now. I'm not hearing my own show. Dislex is doing a show while in my chat room. That's both flattering and confusing in its own way. Now, but going back to the music, I say play the music, find some music, try to stick to the copyright laws. You could get free music for commercial use off CC Mixter. From what I'm hearing, people are not getting in trouble for playing real songs that they don't have copyright. Fine. If you want to take that risk, go ahead. But just keep in mind, if they do decide to crack down, your show could be canceled. And I would hate to see that happen if you really love doing your show. But if you're feeling ballsy and you're not afraid of the copyright stuff, go for it. But if you do want to abide by the law just in case, because there's nothing I'm afraid of, but I don't want my show canceled. I work too hard on this fucking thing to have somebody just swipe it and say, I'm sorry, I heard Metallica on your show. Fuck you. So I don't play Metallica. I go to CC Mixter and get the copyright-free stuff. Now, I've got a song. Now, here's the thing about the quality of the music. You can find some very good quality music from these new up-and-coming artists. I'm serious. Some of it's better than what I hear on the radio today. But sometimes you get a song. Now, you get plenty of bad, of course. I mean, this is free stuff. You can't complain. Sometimes you get one that's almost there. Have you ever heard a song that was almost there? I've got one for you today. I'm going to talk right over it as we play it. And the weird oddity about it is that the person that laid down the track never heard a rhyme like this before, which is the one I did my little rap over. This same person, through random chance, happened to also be in charge of the production Angels in Dark Clouds, which is sung by a female. I thought it was done by Mind Map That, which is someone I know. She sang Please Don't Wish Me a Merry Christmas, so kind of controversial but funny songs. It's a beautiful song, but it just misses. You can tell if you listen to this song why it's not going to be top 40, okay? But it just misses. This is the stuff I would avoid on my show normally, but today I'm going to play it. So let's listen to it. This is Scott Altham, Angels in Dark Clouds. I may talk some over it, I may not. If you guys say something in the chat room, I'll probably talk over it. It really is a pretty song, but then they kind of drop the ball. And that first sentence is appropriate because I was talking about white rappers that are normally hanging around blacks. So there is that. See how everything connects? Yeah, I have decoded the Matrix. Great voice. I like her voice. I'm going over to Dyslex's show. Fuck around in his chat room while I'm doing my show. Ha ha ha. want you guys to tell me in the chat room when you start hearing the stuff that keeps this song off of the major radio stations. Where is she failing? This is my first borderline song that I've ever put on this show. I always play great ones or shitty ones. Ah, right there gets me. No emphasis. Anybody can do that. Sing that shit with feeling. Give me some energy behind that. Jesus Christ. It sounds like someone just about to puke, but kind of dry heaving. Yeah, I think she has a good voice. I think she's got a future if she keeps at it, but yeah. Angels in dark clouds. The white among the black. That's what she's trying to say. Or is she? Or is she? We don't know.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
And now, here's my commercial to all minority males in America. Let's do it.
Young minority males in America, are you worried about getting beaten or killed by cops? Let that worry be in your past with my new product called Put Your Hands Up. Yes, Whitey is in control, and you know you need to put these crackers in their place, but I've figured out a way to do it. The idea is an old one. Logic says that you can't fight if you're dead, so put your hands up. Put Your Hands Up will teach you to submit to those power-hungry cops and get over the bad habit of charging them, throwing bottles of urine at them, or worse, Molotov cocktails. And they'll put you on a path to buy stocks so that you get rich and can hire and then belittle white employees. Put Your Hands Up will show you how not to mouth off to cops, how to earn respect in a civilized world by pulling your pants up, turning your music down, and turning those feelings of fuck the police into insider trading skills. Then you can literally own white people, and you will be in charge. Order today for free. The payment's $29.95, and I'll include a special booklet called "You Want Respect? Stay the fucking school, bitch." A special secret way to overcome those pale-skinned crackers and their evil wits. Order Put Your Hands Up today.
Yeah, so the reason the volume may have been low in some of these is because the way I have Radio Boss set up, it's so that when I normally I have the mic button always on, so you don't have to press it. You can set it up to where you have to press it to talk, which is good for people that play mostly music, so that as soon as you let off of it, you know, what happens is, as in most programs, the music level drops when you're talking, so that you can talk without being, you know, challenged by the music. Nobody can hear what you're saying, and then it picks back up as soon as you let go of the mic button. So with me having the mic button pressed here, that drops all the commercials and music down to like 20 or 25 dB lower than my voice. So that's why a lot of that stuff sounded too low. So that's just me not being a professional, that's all. And even though we're talking about today, white dudes don't rap, please. Some of you are qualified. I mean, if you're a white dude that grew up in the hood, you've got my support, you know. Or if you're like a white middle class dude or even a white rich dude that wants to rap, as long as you present yourself as who you are, I'm down with it. I'm down with it. Okay, I grew up poor, but I never grew up in a ghetto. So I can't come to you and say I'm hard gangster. No, that's not true. I'm hard as shit, but that's self-taught. And it's not gangster. I come with class at all times. Gangsters don't come with class. They come with pure power. I have class, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to take care of those around me. I fear no one. If Mike Tyson came up and shoved me in the chest, I would do my very best to knock his ass out. If I couldn't, I'd choke him to death. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like that, you know. I don't care who you are. I'm not picking on you, so don't come pick on me, because you're going to get the pit bull coming out in me, and you don't want that. Isn't that the song? You don't want that. I've lost the power. Isn't that what they said? Oh, I don't remember. I don't know which way around your message is from based on that clip. I don't know what you mean, Aaron. Can you explain that to me just a little bit? Kevin, that police state is colorblind. Wait a minute. Let me see what you're saying there. Police state is colorblind. I've seen them smash up plenty of white journalists, camera, gas them, shoot them with rubber bullets. That's true. That's true. I'm not saying that that the police are just after blacks. I think that the problem with police mostly is the corruption. I even wrote a book about an alien, and his biggest problem, his whole species' biggest problem, was the police forces on Earth throughout history, on all parts of the globe. That what they would do, according to him, the alien, and I kind of believe this, is that they would put their own self-worth and self-righteousness next to the morals that they were supposed to follow for their job, which then elevated them in status, which then, unfortunately, gave them a silent permission to break the rules and laws. They deserve something extra because they were maintaining the moral imperative. Well, I don't think that's changed much. I personally know cops who have pulled women over to get phone numbers. I personally know cops who, while on an undercover drug bust, have let white people go while busting black people. And that's not working for me. That's not my ideal America. And as long as there's a difference between the real America and my ideal America, I've got to talk about it. There are good cops out there. You guys know this. There are some cops that are pulling their own weight and trying to compensate for what the bad cops are doing. They don't want a bad name. Okay, every profession has its bad apples. You know that. The problem with cops is that they have the badge and the gun. That's a hell of a lot of authority to give somebody with a high school degree who has not been thoroughly psychologically tested and vetted. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a brave move. It's a risky move. Don't be surprised when you get pulled over for a speeding ticket and the next thing you know, you're being tased and shot because you couldn't find your license or they thought you were pulling a gun. That's a problem for me. So, no, it's not just about minority males. However, these cases that have made the headlines are about minority males. And minority males, more and more lately, have been getting bold. Well, thank you, Val, for stopping by. She's working. She should have stopped by to say hi. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys that bother with my show. Why wouldn't I, you know? I need to visit more of your shows, and I don't. It's because I'm always busy. Always. When I'm not doing the show, I got something going on. I'm either fixing a computer or doing some investigative work or out at the beach taking photos. I like to take photos, and, you know, I'm building this huge photo collection that I don't know what I'll do with someday. Maybe it'll be worth something. I don't know. Or I'm ghost hunting, or what I want to get back into now is metal detecting. That was a very fun hobby, and I haven't done it since I was about 21 years old. That's a lot of fun. You know, you're basically getting something for free, whether it's a nickel or a quarter. And, you know, for example, I was on Langley Air Force Base when I was stationed there with a friend of mine, Joe Arnett. We were both metal detecting. He sold me his old metal detector, and he bought a new one. And I found on a church grounds a standing Liberty silver quarter. It was about 6 inches down. Nothing special about it except for they stopped making them in 1925 because the date was raised on them. So through circulation, the date would get rubbed off as opposed to being recessed like all the others are now. So, you know, it was worth about $8 then. And that's exciting. You're just walking around enjoying the outdoors. Bam, now you got something worth some money because you decided to dig a little bit. That's cool. But getting back to the topic, since we are still in what I would consider the first half of the show, hell, we may have already progressed into the second half. I don't know how long I'll be on today. It's an odd time. Aaron says, I'm worried about the police state growing full stop. Stop watching MSNBC. Yeah, MSNBC does cater to the left just as much as Fox caters to the right. However, if I were to fact check both of those networks, MSNBC would have a slight edge. When they say, I'm not talking about their opinions. Their opinions can be as wacky as Fox's. I'm talking about when they cite somebody having said something or cite a statistic done from a poll. You will find that Fox more often makes mistakes than does MSNBC. So neither one of them are that great. I would suggest using BBC. I hate having to go outside my own country to get unbiased news about what's going on inside my own country. You know, Apocalypse likes to use Russian Times and Al Jazeera. I don't like Al Jazeera. They basically have always supported terrorists, and I can't deal with that. But Russian Times, they're pretty good. You know, I have a little bit of a problem with Putin. So I don't like him. He's way too cocky. So I don't, because of that, that's not a fair reason, but because of that, I don't read Russian Times or watch it often. They have some very interesting videos up on YouTube also. They're not afraid to talk about the paranormal, which I like. But I go to BBC if I want they kind of give the news the way we used to give it in the 1940s. Not any opinion, just what happened. Could be very boring in some people's eyes, but it was the news, unbiased. I miss that. I miss that because people are so easily swayed. I mean, people that like Fox News love Fox News. People that like MSNBC love MSNBC. Dislex says, I only listen to AM radio. Okay, but Dislex, who do you listen to? I hope you're not listening to a Rush Limbaugh. I hope you're not listening to a Sean Hannity. I hope you're not listening to a Glenn Beck, because they're all crazy. They're all crazy, and there's a lot of hate in their hearts. But I also hope you're not listening to a Bleeding Heart Tree Hugger, because they have too much empathy in their hearts. What we need is somebody in the middle, because that's where most of us are. We're in the middle. You know, I personally am on the right when it comes to fiscal policy, but I'm on the left when it comes to social policy. You know, it's okay to be whatever wing you are, but ask yourself why. You know, this is something I preach all the time. Ask yourself if you know why you believe what you believe. Is it based just on your experience? Have you read enough about the cases? I mean, can you imagine being black in this country and going in for a standard job interview? You don't think there'd be any extra pressure on you or any extra scrutiny upon you because you're black? Let's say that you grew up in a family that hated whites. They said it all the time, whitey is the devil. And you came out thinking that. How can you blame that person for thinking that? Didn't his family make him think that? And maybe his family had some good reasons for it. You can't just assume you know how they should behave, because you can't assume you know their history. Whether or not it's right or wrong, I'm not going to debate that. That's it's too subjective. But I can debate how they got that way. And I say give them a break. Understand, let them learn, and insist that they do learn what's real. If you're going to stereotype, understand there are always exceptions. If I say black people dance better than white people, that's actually pretty true on a large scale, but you don't think there are exceptions? You know, of course there are exceptions. I mean that whenever I stereotype. But you're not even allowed to say that now. Black people dance better than white, but that's racist. That's not racist, that's fact. I can prove it. It's fact. Oh, you can't say that, it offends people. Well, I guess I have to quit doing my radio show if I'm not allowed to say shit like that, because I tell the truth on this show. Well, I didn't say it's okay to hate white people. I said it's understandable if you grew up in a hating house. I told you that I would not argue whether it was right or wrong, because that's too subjective. So no, I'm not saying it's okay to hate white people. I'm not saying it's not okay. If you were black and every white person you'd ever dealt with showed racism toward you, wouldn't you be racist? On the other hand, if you were white and every black person you'd ever dealt with tried to rob you, wouldn't you be racist? So you got to look at every individual's history. But what I'm saying is, even if every black I'd ever met tried to rob me, I would still want to read about the accounts of blacks around the world before drawing my conclusions. I wouldn't just stick to my own experiences. You know, what I'm saying, yeah, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them for hating white people if they had just left their house and they grew up with parents drilling into their heads that white people were the devil. No. How can I blame them? They've been brainwashed. I couldn't blame them. What I would insist, which I said, you can rewind the show, was that they learn the facts, that they learn who the exceptions are. And there are exceptions to every group. Yeah, I wouldn't blame them if their parents had drilled into their heads for 20 years, white people are the devil, white people are the devil. You have discernment. Well, you're saying that, and by the way, you guys, on this topic that Aaron's talking about, discrimination is not a bad word. Do you know what it means? It means to be able to tell the difference between two things. If you don't discriminate when you're foraging for food, you're going to eat dirt and skip the potatoes. So discrimination, finding the difference between things, is a hugely necessary human ability. So when you hear discrimination, all the red flags jump up. Why? When you're using the difference between colors of people to apply rules or laws, yes, now it's a bad term. But there's nothing wrong with discriminating, and there's nothing wrong with discernment. That's what it is. Being able to divide people into groups based on their behaviors, understanding that there will always be exceptions. I can show you 3 black people that I am personally friends with that are smarter than the average white person worldwide. Does that intimidate you? Do you even believe me? I wonder about that. Why are we scared of something like that? I don't understand that. I don't know. I don't understand that. If they're Americans, first thing I'm going to do, I will lay my life down for any American, as long as he's not a felon. I mean, literally, if you said, Kevin, look, who will you defend? I'll defend all Americans. Kevin, would you die today for somebody who had robbed a bank and killed a child? No. If you give me the choice of yes or no, I'm going to say no to that, because that person is an American, but they're not a worthy American. All I'm asking for is somebody who's not a felon, who's also an American. I don't care what color or sex. I will die today for your right to live as an American. I signed up to prove it, and I'd sign up again to prove it. Dislex says, but no, I'm not racist. I hate bad people. Well, bad is a subjective term, Dislex. What do we mean by bad? Socrates would ask you, Dislex, what do you mean by bad? Who's bad and who's good? Because you'd be surprised how varying definitions would arise if everyone were asked, what's bad, what's good? He says he loves everyone. I have to believe you until you disprove me. Disprove yourself. I don't get any job because I don't speak Spanish. Where do you live, Dislex? Curious. You must live in southern Texas. Aaron says, you said you wouldn't blame them for hating white people. Yeah, we already talked about that. Dislex says, I can imagine being black. Where I live, I get punished for being white. I don't get a higher pay because I don't speak Spanish. Aaron says, I'm white. I'm not going anywhere. Fuck off if you don't like that. Well, if you're being attacked because you're white, Aaron, I don't blame you for feeling that way. But there's no reason to come out swinging like that if no one's picking on you, you know. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, if someone's picking at you for being white, fuck yeah, go off. It's not right. Odessa, Texas. I knew it. Believe it or not, I have a problem with some people from New York City and from Texas. Not you, Dyslex. I'm talking about the people that come out wearing it like a badge. Well, I was born in Texas. Well, I came from the Bronx. Like it's some sort of huge shield of honor. Hey, where you're born in this country doesn't mean shit to me. Who you are and what you've done is what matters to me. However, you're not like that. I have very close friends from Texas. My friend Kim that you hear on the show all the time, she's from Texas. My friend Crash Jesus from New York City, he's actually from Canada. A lot of talent spills into the U.S. from Canada. We don't recognize that because we want to think everything's red, white, and blue. Goddamn right. Do you know it's something like 90% of our PhDs in this country were not born here? We tricked them into coming here. Yeah. I like, most Texans. I've been very close friends with Texas. My friend Joe Arnett, Texan. My friend Mike May in the Air Force, Texan. My friend Kim Ashbury Moxley, Texan. Dyslex is a Texan. Went out with a girl that I moved to Colorado to be with. She was from Texas, from Corpus Christi. So most people that I interact with from Texas are not like that, but you see it on the message board. When everything's bigger in Texas, don't mess with Texas. Who the fuck said I was going to mess with Texas? That sounds offensive to me, you know? So these are people coming out swinging when no one's... Then Texas is always wanting to secede from the Union, the far right in Texas. I say go ahead. Go ahead. If you're better than the rest of the country, I encourage you to start your own country. Call it Texana or Texasa or Texaco, but you'll be in line the next day for foreign aid from America because you're too small. So what I say, Texans, is you think the rest of the country's wrong, do what you have to do to get some paperwork started and phone calls made to get the rest of the country right. You can do that. We've got social media. You can do that. Instead of wanting to secede from the Union, I mean, I don't like that. If you want to secede, I say let them, but they're just going to come back, come knocking at the door and say, let us back in. How would Texas do if it were all alone, Dyslex? Let's say it was its own country starting tomorrow. It was its own country. How would it do? I mean, they've got rich resources, right? They have an awesome jobless rate, I believe, last I heard. They are self-sufficient. So could they make it as their own country? And they've talked seriously. I mean, it's gone up in front of councils for seceding from the Union. I don't think constitutionally they're allowed to, but What would happen, Dyslex, if Texas took its own course away from the other 49 states and this great America we live in? I think we should all be as one. We're going to have our differences. We can settle our differences at the voting booths and keep on chugging. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do to stay strong. I'm looking at Dyslex's chat room here. There's some crazy people be coming to your chat room. Hi, Ash. Oh, Ash is listening to your show, not mine. I'm confused now. And Lisa, back to my show, sorry. Love this show too, though. Okay, I got to close your show, Dyslex. I can't do both. I'm not that... First of all, multitasking is an illusion. Texas could be a country easily, Dyslex says. They'd make it. But as American, I don't want that. Dyslex just wants the problems in America fixed, and he wants to remain a part of America. I'm down with that. I say get on the computer, get on the phone, start writing Congress and senators. Doesn't have to be from your state. Congress people and senators from every state, governors, mayors, presidential staff. I don't care if you're writing to the judicial branch. I don't care if you're writing to big business. Say, listen, this Greenpeace movement to keep us from drilling over here when we could be bringing in American revenue from this oil is ridiculous. You can say that. Get things changed. Because I believe that an American is only as American as he is close to his Constitution. Now, if an American agrees with half of the Constitution, but he can provide me with evidence showing that he tried to change the other half and just failed, I'm down with that. He's 100% American to me. But I like people that are next to their Constitution, and if they're not next to it, get into the fighting to change it. Dyslex says, I believe in fighting. That starts with emails and calls. That's right. You got to take action somehow. I think the easiest way these days, start a Facebook page, start a website. People conglomerate when you sell an idea that's been on their minds. You know, they'll support it, they'll donate to it. You can really get a ball rolling, and money talks, you know. So if you get donations to where you can start getting ads in the mail and stuff, you can really make something happen regarding the laws, Constitution amendments, all that. Let's see what's going on. I put I got to do this while staying positive. I put a shirt on Facebook today. Tell me what you think about this shirt. This shirt is a black t-shirt. You can get it on Amazon.com. It says infidel. And it also says it in Arabic. It says it in English and Arabic. Infidel. What do you think about that, folks? I'm curious what you think. Second Amendment? Yes. Second Amendment and First Amendment, Aaron. I'm 100% behind it. I believe every law-abiding citizen has a right to own a firearm and protect themselves and their family. Absolutely. I also believe in concealed carry permits. Now, if a person steps over the line with their use of that power, they've got to prove in court that they were, in fact, defending themselves. That's fair. So, yeah, I'm all for the Second Amendment. Dyslex loves those shirts. That's cool. I can't blame someone for, you know, it's almost like poking a terrorist in the chest, because the average peace-loving Muslim probably won't be offended that you're saying I'm an infidel. But the terrorists who have interpreted the Quran to say you either convert to Islam or we kill you. Well, that's the person I wouldn't mind poking in the chest. Come on, motherfucker. I'm telling you I'm an infidel. Don't go kill innocent people in the World Trade Center. Here's your target. Come get me. You know, I just like the American flag that you often see on T-shirts, and it says underneath it, try to burn this one, asshole. I had a shirt made up that said that back in 2002, and I wore it like every other day, and no one ever tried to burn it. Yeah. Let's see what Aaron has to say about race. This is my point on race from before. Let me paste it again, but I'm not trying to drag the issue out. That's okay, Aaron. We got time. He says, I only think about race when the progressive left forces it down my throat endlessly, a bit like you're doing now, which that's intentional, by the way. Yeah, it is. It's easy to control a balkanized population and easy to reinforce prejudice by constantly reminding people of difference. I'm not attacking you. I'm just clarifying my stance. The reason that I do this, you're right about what I'm doing. I'm kind of forcing it down my listeners' throats. And the reason that I'm doing it is because I believe that it's being conveniently ignored by the masses. White people have come a long way. I mean, we really have from the 60s on. You know, people finally said, you know what? For the most part, I'd say probably 80% of us said, you know what? Being black or being Hispanic or being Asian, they're still American, and we're going to love them for that. And then you have that, whatever, 10 or 20% on the far, far right that says they don't deserve the same as we do. And those are the people I'm talking to. Those are the people I'm trying to expose. Freedom of speech, sure. They can say that all day. They can join the KKK. But I find that as hugely flawed. People joining the Black Panthers, I find that hugely flawed. That's saying you're better than somebody because of the color of your skin. I find that philosophically, fundamentally flawed. Note the alliteration. So that's why I talk about it. I think it's ignored. I think it's ignored too much. Now, there is such a thing as going overboard with it. Somebody like MSNBC will go overboard with it, always talking about the racism, always talking about the sexism, making it look worse than it is. I agree. That's probably not a, I don't want to say fair thing, because news never agreed to be fair. It's an unnecessary thing. It's putting the true problem out of context. It's not being accurate. Whites have been through all kinds of stuff. You know, we've had slaves from every color, every race on earth. Whites were slaves for thousands of years. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Oh, you can call them indentured servants. You can call them serfs. But the fact is, they were slaves. They were owned by their masters. And you know something? There was never a huge revolt from the white slaves toward their owners of any color. Never a huge revolt. I think maybe it comes down to when slaves are beaten and mistreated. That's when you get into, okay, now you're treating people like cattle, and that's a problem. They talk about the Egyptian slaves, if they were slaves, that were building the pyramids, and they're learning through research that they were treated extremely well, that they were given the top-notch medical care while they did this work. You know, if white people had done that, slave owners in America in the early days, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But you know what happened. You know what happened. Now, that was 300 and odd years ago. We ought not to be focusing on that, but we can't forget it either. You know what I'm saying? I will not accept somebody saying that white people today need to pay a price for what their ancestors did 300 years ago. I don't accept that. Sorry. Nor do I accept a black person complaining about slavery as if they had been slaves. I don't accept that. You weren't here. So don't even act like you went through it. So you see how I am with it. I'm fair. I'm just fair. You know, if I could bring back a white person from 300 years ago and put them on trial, I'd love to do it. And I'd love to have the black slaves that they ruled testify against them. Only 3% of America's own slaves. That may be true, but it's misleading, because look at the numbers that equates to, as well as the numbers of slaves they had per person. Yep, we had slaves in America. Remember, at first, and you also have to remember, it was black people that sold the slaves. It was black African businessmen that sold their slaves, and many of those slaves, remember, they were jobless. They didn't have to go. They were jobless and starving. And these black slave owners said, look, you can go to America. You're going to have to work for this person, but you're going to be fed. And they left everything behind and said, I'm going, you know. So if it weren't for the mistreatment, slavery in America would have been nothing but a business agreement. If we would have just been smart enough to treat the slaves right, as you see corporations treating their workers today, at least that fair, then we wouldn't be talking about slavery. But once you introduce whips and pens, you know, putting them in dirty-ass outhouses, breeding them with whoever you wanted to breed them with to make them stronger so they could pull more weight, yeah, now you're treating them like animals. The average minority votes Democrat. That's true. That's true, because Democrats do tend to favor minority rights, because the far right routinely tramples on minority rights and women's rights. It's all about the old white man. You don't see that in the text of the arbitration or the laws, but you feel it. You feel it. All I want from the right is a little more empathy for every American. That's all I ask from the right. They don't seem to care. It's all about big business, and big business is hugely important. It's what makes this country go. But it can't all be about big business. We have to be concerned about our environment. Climate change is real. Aaron says, LBJ said we need to get, oh, Jesus, I'm going to quote this. LBJ said we need to get the niggers voting for us, and the Democrats managed to snatch the minority vote. People these days think Lincoln was a Democrat, such a dirty party. Yeah, Lincoln was a Republican. A lot of people don't realize that, but he was a fair man, very fair man. That's why they called him Honest Abe. I try to model my behavior after Lincoln as much as I can. I'm not an expert on Lincoln, but in my thinking, Read above that first, Kevin. Okay, let's see. Democrats mostly owned slaves, and Democrats fought tooth and nail to keep slavery alive, and the average minority votes Democrat. Are you sure about that? Because a huge percentage of slaves were owned in the South, and throughout voting history in America, we've shown that the South is to the right. They're Republican. So I'm not sure. I'd have to see. Can you give me some links to that? I don't not believe you, Dislikes, but that's news to me. So I'd like to share that information. If you've got a link, if you don't, I'll find it later. But if you've got a link now, I'd like to share that with my audience so they could see this thing about Democrats being slave owners out of proportion with Republicans or Whigs or whatever. Or even independents. And if you don't have it, I'll find it later. I'll go ahead and Google it. I just haven't seen that evidence. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, so you don't have to find it right now. Especially because I took Chris's 7-day positive challenge. I'm staying positive. Even if Barco called in today to bash on Obama, I'd stay positive. Sure. Yeah, I have to. I don't mind people bashing on Obama. Here's the problem I have with people that I tend to find hating on Obama. They have nothing good to say. Nothing. Are you telling me he's done nothing good in 6 years? The mature person can show me 3 or 4 things he's done good and then go off about the bad. Now I'm listening to you because now you're speaking with reason and not emotion. Okay, so you'll find some links. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe. Hey, if both of you say you read it, I believe you. I just want to be able to share it with the audience on the Facebook page because I always put links that are applicable to my show right on the Facebook page announcement. So I'll do my own research and find what you're talking about. No, well, maybe it is well known, but I didn't know it. Dislikes. No, I didn't know that. It somehow got past me in all my studies. I do remember LBJ saying the N-word like that, but I also believe that he didn't say it in hatred. Everyone was a little racist in the 60s and 70s. There was this, my own family, it bothers the shit out of me. My own family, my mother and grandmother would drop the N-word, and I had somebody very close to me, a male, tell me an N-word joke not too long ago, a few years back, and I finally had to say something. I finally said, that's not funny. And it was very uncomfortable for me to do that. But I had to. Do you know how many black inventors have shaped the outcome of America and the success of America? Do you have any idea how many black military people have saved white American lives in large groups, Medal of Honor winners, Medal of Honor winners that were passed over for the Medal of Honor, all the way back to the Revolutionary War? How do you ignore that? I don't understand, because that's part of the American pie. Do we just pretend they didn't? I can't do that. I have to look at what actually happened and base my beliefs and ideas on what actually happened. So, yeah, are there some thugs out there? Sure. Are there plenty of blacks in jail for robbery, rape, various crimes? Yes, there are, and they're fucking idiots and assholes. I'm down with that. There's some whites in there, too. It's definitely disproportionate. I think it's about 80-something% of prisoners are black. And then the question rises, which I can't speak for right now, is it because they deserved it, or is it because they were discriminated against, or some mix of the two? I think it's more likely that they deserved it, but some percentage, maybe it would be down to 60% black if the law was truly fair and not discriminatory. But there would still be a high percentage of blacks in there, and that comes from what? Fill in the blank here. Does it come because they didn't get a fair chance in white-owned America? Could be. Could be some of that. Could be some that they felt like a victim. They've been trained by their family to feel like a victim of white America when really they're not. They have their chance these days to make it just as big as anybody. I'm looking for truth, man. I'm just looking for accurate truth. Aaron says the NRA was formed to arm free black slaves to save them from the Klan. Another unknown but key fact. I didn't know that either. Yep, that's new to me. I got a letter from the NRA the other day. They offered me a free pocket knife if I joined for a year. $30 a year for membership fees. I said, well, I'm too poor for that, and I am. But I did join the American Legion because they can help you fight your legal cases and get, all the medical attention you need, because the VA's just, the VA is like a joke. I honestly think we should shut down the VA and just come up with Medicaid Part V. Let's just do it. Let us go to the same doctors other people go to instead of getting the rejects from India that didn't graduate medical school, or people that have been canceled out of private practice for making too many surgical mistakes. Now they're in the VA. That's not right. Fold the VA, take the entire VA budget, and put it into Medicaid Part V for veteran. You're welcome for my service, Dyslex. I say thank you for letting me serve in the world's best Air Force, and thank you for paying my salary and paying for my food and room and board while I was in. That's what I say. And I only did 4 years, so I don't try to act like I'm this huge 20, 30-year veteran. Like Chris Levesque, the guy that issued the 7-day Be Positive challenge to me. He was a 20-plus year guy and just retired. I believe Grandpa Al was in longer than I was, but he was a Navy SEAL. And there are a few other people that were veterans. Guy Shea, DJ Bad Guy, he was a veteran. I believe he was Army. So I know personally, so I'm Air Force, I know Army, I know Navy. My dad was a Marine, my stepdad was Navy, and I was Air Force. Grandpa was Army Air Corps. Obamacare is wealth transfer. It's just to make Democrat Party cronies a lot of money. Like, for example, the website costs $15 billion. Give me a break. I study politics all day, Dyslex. I'm sad. Well, Aaron, how do you know so much about America? Valerie, what are you talking about when you say has Glenn called? Is Glenn a controversial figure, or are you talking about Glenn Beck? Curious about that. I'm going to play a couple songs and take a little break, you guys. So I'm trying to figure out what I have that has a positive vibe to it, but isn't too gay, and I mean that in the least offensive way possible. And I don't know. I don't want to get too emotional like Old Lang Syne. That's a great song, but, well, Bad Ace always has a positive vibe. I'll play something from Bad Ace. They're a local band, by the way. I happen to know the drummer in that group, Bad Ace. You can find them at badace.com. You can also find them on Facebook. They do pop and rock and country. And Todd Jenkins happens to own a business called Western Shore HVAC. Anybody that lives in Virginia, between Richmond and Virginia Beach, you can get your HVAC work done. Call Western Shore. They're at westernshoreinc.com. Todd Jenkins is going to give you a deal, because I'll tell him to. How about Reality Check? That seems appropriate for today. I'm not really sure it's positive, but it's not negative. Not a negative song. So I will line that up for you, because you know how I be doing. And after Reality Check, we will do, what's another positive one? That one's not positive for sure. Best Friend remix? We'll try it. George Linus, I like him. He's one of the CC Mixter artists. So what we have coming up here is Bad Ace's Reality Check, followed by George Linus's Best Friend remix. And in the event that I'm not back then, which I probably will be, we'll go ahead and air the most beautiful song I've ever found from an independent artist, which is called L'Amadio Tiado, which I think is Italian for something like I feel great. Actually, I don't know what it means, but that I don't want to know, because I like to ascribe my own meaning to it every time I listen to it. So, for those of you who may have joined late, I will play a quick commercial so you'll know how to follow Truth on Tap with Kevin A. Kierstead in the future. Through iHeartRadio or Spreaker. You can follow on the Facebook page. That'll all be talked about. After that, you'll have Bass, Reality Check, George Lyons, Best Friend Remix, and Sack Joe 22's Lamadio, Tiago, featuring Airlow, and Meg Borja, and Smojos. How's that?
You're
Good.
listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Just 16, then you became my high school dream. I didn't tell anyone my feelings for you. I kept them balled up inside. I didn't realize, oh Lord, you felt it too. Told me you were interested, and my heart dropped to the floor because I didn't know just how I felt. I kept it hidden so well. You didn't realize, no, I felt it too. This way. Telephone, we talked a little while, and I made you laugh. And on the next day, I walked you to class. We didn't realize, no, we felt this way. My high school dream had finally feeling this way. Ran across your picture, baby, just the other day. Imagine conversation, and I knew just what to say. I held you in my arms and never let you go. And I realized I love you ever more. I didn't realize, I didn't realize I felt so strong for you. I didn't know that I could feel this way, even on such a cloudy day. I didn't know a feeling of this kind feels so good inside. Feeling this way.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yeah, come on. Bad attraction. Suggested maybe I wanna be your best friend.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
You heard it here, Bad Ace and Georgia Linus. Bad Ace with Reality Check. You can find them at badace.com. Georgia Linus Best Friend Remix. I don't know who the vocal artist was there. I don't think that was Georgia Linus. It was just his work to do the remix, which he had permission to do from the Creative Commons shit. You know how that works. Georgia Linus does a song where it is actually him called Hornet. And it took me the longest time to figure that song out. And because I never looked at the title, it sounded like a dude floating through space, the way he was singing the lyrics. And finally I figured out he was talking about a fucking hornet caught in a window. Oh, you know, I might play that later just to show you what I'm talking about. Another one by Georgia Linus is DJ Arcad's Pulse. I like to play that and talk over it. It's got a radio show feel to it. One of the things I wanted to share with you today, because I am forced to keep it positive because of the agreement I made with Chris Levesque to keep it positive, to stay positive for 7 days at least. One of the things I wanted to share with you is a link and a little bit about the link that I shared recently. I'm going to my radio show page because I can't find it now, and I know I shared the link. It's on criticalthinking.org. You know that's my favorite website. I think everybody needs to get involved in criticalthinking.org. It will not tell you what to think. It's not going to turn you into a liberal or a conservative or an independent. It's going to show you how to think. And what it does best, in my opinion, is it teaches you how to filter out the bullshit right up front. And that's a big deal. And this article is called Become a Critic of Your Thinking. Okay? Now, that's not the definition of critical thinking. Critical thinking involves discernment, as we spoke about earlier in this show, discrimination between good and bad information. Becoming a Critic of Your Thinking was written by Dr. Linda Elder and Dr. Richard Paul. We're going to talk about it a little bit here. And I guarantee you, I don't ever offer you anything in the way of a lesson that will not help you for the rest of your life. And I guarantee it. You start employing these techniques in your thinking, you're going to find yourself more intelligent. You can't help but grow in intelligence when you're taking in good information and kicking out bad information. And that generally boils down to information you don't have a lot of support for, that has an emotional basis. Just before I get started on this, because I tend to run on, I'm going to check and see what's going on in chat, if anybody has had anything to say. Aaron says, well, good show, dude. Have to nip out for half hour or so. Okay. All right, Aaron, thanks for stopping by. You guys know that I'll share any political views on this show. Sometimes I'll pick at them a little. I don't generally get into negative bashing because I've never seen anyone change from that. If I were to argue militantly my political position and someone were opposed to it, who would gain from that? The people out for entertainment would gain the entertainment factor, but there would be no growth. And I'm not interested in fights. I'm interested in growth. I will fight for what I believe in, but I won't sit there and get into what I would consider a Jerry Springer episode. I just won't. It's just it's pointless. It's mindless. It's very ghetto in nature. So I won't do it. Like I said, I tend to lean toward the right when it comes to fiscal policy. I tend to lean toward the left when it comes to social policy. That combined makes me the independent guy that I am, which is dead center with a slight leftward tilt. And most people are. Dyslex is still here. Okay, Dyslex. I'm going to read a little bit from this page. I want you guys to follow along. This is a big deal, and I've already shared the link, but I am going to go ahead and share the link right now in the chat room for people that want to follow along. This is a big deal. If you get nothing else from this site, check out this article because it teaches you how to question your own thinking. And we don't do that, do we? Mostly it's the ego involved that says, hey, you're right. Don't worry about it, man. You read the stuff. You saw the shows. You know. Well, I'm saying you really don't. And if you're mature enough to say, let me pick apart some of my own thinking, you're going to be smarter for it, I guarantee you. Okay, this is not the one I wanted. Here it is. Let me close that. I had 2 pages open, got confused there. Becoming a Critic of Your Thinking by Dr. Linda Elder and Dr. Richard Paul. I'm just going to read a little bit and then we're going to touch on the highlights. There is nothing more practical than sound thinking. No matter what your circumstance or goals, no matter where you are or what problems you face, you are better off if your thinking is skilled. As a manager, leader, employee, citizen, lover, friend, parent, in every realm and situation of your life, good thinking pays off. Poor thinking, in turn, inevitably causes problem, wastes time and energy, engenders frustration and pain. Critical thinking is the disciplined art of ensuring that you use the best thinking you are capable of in any set of circumstances. The general goal of thinking is to figure out the lay of the land in any situation we are in. We all have multiple choices to make. We need the best information to make the best choices. What is really going on in this or that situation? Are they trying to take advantage of me? Does so-and-so really care about me? Am I deceiving myself when I believe that? What are the likely consequences of failing to insert word here? If I want to do blank, what is the best way to prepare for it? How can I be more successful in doing fill in the blank? Is this my biggest problem, or do I need to focus my attention on something else? Successfully responding to such question is the daily work of thinking. However, to maximize the quantity of your thinking, you must learn quality. I was going to say quantity is not such a big deal. So let me start from the beginning. Successfully responding to such questions is the daily work of thinking. However, to maximize the quality of your thinking, you must learn how to become an effective critic of your thinking. And to become an effective critic of your thinking, you have to make learning about thinking a priority. Last paragraph. Ask yourself these rather unusual questions. What have you learned about how you think? Seriously, do you know anything about the way you think? That question alone is going to stun a bunch of people that I know. It stunned me when I first got into it. I was lucky back in when I first started college in 1996. Philosophy 101 was called Critical Thinking. The textbook was called Critical Thinking. It was written by John Hoagland, who was a professor at Christopher Newport University, which is the sister college of William and Mary. And it was a brilliant book, and it focused mostly on logic and reason, but it also got into the great philosophers. Not too in-depth, because they focused mostly on logic and reason. So I took courses later about world philosophy and got more into that. Critical thinking, and it's just it is changing the machine with which you process information into an efficient and accurate machine. That's my definition. That's what you're going to do with critical thinking. Your beliefs, I can't affect your beliefs. I'm not trying to affect your beliefs. However, you reach those beliefs through thinking. I am trying to sharpen the way you do that thinking. In other words, all I'm really asking is that you carefully weigh evidence for your beliefs, carefully and fairly. People that hate Barack Obama, if you want to prove to me that you're at least somewhat mature, I want you to show me 3 or 4 things you think he's done well. There's no president in the history of this country that hasn't done a few things that benefited the people. If you're mature and you're intelligent, you're going to be able to tell me a few things any president has done to help the people. If you can't do that, if you absolutely refuse to do that, I'm not saying you're not intelligent. I'm saying that your hate has overcome your intellect. Your emotion has taken over your cognitive ability. And I can't help you at all with that. Critical thinking could, but I can't. So if you want my ear and you want to hate on Obama, that's fine. You'll get it, as long as you can tell me a couple of good things he's done. Just a few. 2 or 3. I talked about asking these questions about yourself. This is directly from the article, but we're going to talk a little bit more about them, because this is important stuff. I would not waste time talking on the radio when I don't like talking and I don't like the sound of my own voice, unless I believe this is really something you could use for the rest of your life, and I do mean it. So stay with me here. And this is from criticalthinking.org. I've already shared the link in the chat room. I'm going to skip over to the chat room real quick to see if anybody's got any questions. No, they don't. So we're going to keep going. Please listen to this. If you're like most, only honest answers to these questions run along the lines of, well, I suppose I really don't know much about my thinking, or about thinking in general. I suppose in my life I have more or less taken my thinking for granted, and I think most people have. I don't really know how it works. I've never really studied it. I don't know how I test it, or even if I do test it. It just happens in my mind automatically. Now, there's nothing wrong if that's true about you, but it's time, if you want to take the next step up, to understand how and why you think what you do. It's time for that, and you can do it. It's not that hard, folks. I swear to God, it's not. I wouldn't drop physics on you here. I struggled in physics myself. I'm not trying to make things difficult. And by the way, I'm going to pick on a philosopher later if I can find a way to do it kindly, who found it his goal in life to be incredibly difficult with big words so that you would think he was smart. I hate people that do that. Never use a $5 word where a penny word will do. I don't know if I'll pick on him or not. I don't think I can do it friendly, so I can't do it because I've taken the positive challenge. So it is important to realize that, and I'm quoting here, that serious study of thinking, serious thinking about thinking is rare. It is not a subject in most colleges. It is seldom found in the thinking of our culture. But if you focus your attention for a moment on the role that thinking is playing in your life, you may come to recognize that, in fact, everything you do or want or feel is influenced by your thinking. And if you become persuaded of that, you will be surprised that humans show so little interest in thinking. To make significant gains in the quality of your thinking, you will have to engage in a kind of work that most humans find unpleasant, if not painful, intellectual work. Yet, once this thinking is done and we move our thinking to a higher level of quality, it is not hard to keep it at that level. Okay, I promise this is true, folks. Still, there is a price you have to pay to step up to the next level. One doesn't become a skillful critic of thinking overnight, any more than one becomes a skillful basketball player or a musician overnight. To become better at thinking, you must be willing to put the work into thinking that skilled improvement always requires. One more paragraph. This means you must be willing to practice special acts of thinking that are initially, at least, uncomfortable and sometimes challenging and difficult. You have to learn to do with your mind moves analogous to what accomplished athletes learn to do through practice and feedback with their bodies. Improvement in thinking, in other words, is similar to improvement in other domains of performance where progress is a product of sound theory, commitment, hard work, and practice. All right? Now I'm going to hit on the major points and the bullet points. I'm not going to read this whole article to you. I encourage you to visit it and revisit it often. If you get nothing else from criticalthinking.org, get this article. First one, clarify your thinking. Be on the lookout for vague, fuzzy forms, blurred thinking. We have a lot of that, folks. Strategies for clarifying your thinking? State one point at a time. Socrates was the king of this. He'd say, whoa, back up. Let's talk about that first sentence. You're on a run here, but we need to take it fact by fact. And he would dismantle your argument right before your eyes. Attorneys use this a lot. That's why Socrates is so popular among attorneys, and he's probably my favorite philosopher of all time. Close tie with Pythagoras. Elaborate on what you mean. Elaborate. Give extra description so that you can be clear. Give examples that connect your thoughts to life experiences. That's even further elaborating, really. And use analogies and metaphors to help people connect your ideas to a variety of things they already understand. For example, critical thinking is like an onion. There are many layers to it. Just when you think you have it basically figured out, you realize there's another layer, and then another, and another, and another, and so on and on. Okay, so here's one format you can use. I think, state your main point. In other words, elaborate your main point. For example, give an example of your main point. And finally, to give you an analogy, give an illustration. To clarify other people's thinking, consider asking the following. There's only 3 quick questions. Can you restate your point in other words? I didn't understand you. 2, can you give an example? Or 3, let me tell you what I understand you to be saying. Did I understand you correctly? That's how you get out of someone who's being vague or confusing. That's how you get it clearly. Again, attorneys love doing this. This was the Socratic method. Clarification, all about clarification. I believe precision in communications is very important, and most of the problems in the world today are from misunderstandings because we don't get clear ideas from people. We interpret, and there is no room for interpretation in human communications. We've got the language skills now where we should be able to understand each other clearly. So number 2, stick to the point. Be on the lookout for fragmented thinking that leaps about with no logical connections. Well, I do that all the time. However, when I'm doing my critical thinking, I don't do that. I know that it's important to stay on topic. Ask these questions to make sure thinking is focused on what is relevant. Am I focused on the main problem or task? How is this connected? How is that? Does my information directly relate to the problem or task? Where do I need to focus my attention? Are we being diverted to unrelated matters? This is something you got to watch out when you have guests on your show. Am I failing to consider relevant viewpoints? How is your point relevant to the issue we are addressing? If you come on as a guest to a show or a participant in a debate, and you're just so sure you're right and so sure the other person's wrong, the average intelligent adult is going to see that. What they're going to look for is for you to show at least an understanding. Look, you might have come to your point through methods that I haven't seen before. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're dead wrong. But I am going to show why I believe what I believe. And that may directly contradict what you're saying. But for me to tell you you're wrong, I mean, if you've ever read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, you'll learn right away, don't tell a man he's wrong. There's no purpose in that. There's nothing you can gain out of that. I mean, unless you're like correcting a math problem, and it's just that black and white. Other than that, don't tell someone they're wrong. Just say, I think differently than you. Agree to disagree. Civil arguments are the way to go. Ask these questions to make sure thinking is focused on what is relevant. I've already told you that. How is your point relevant to the issue? Does this truly bear on the question? How does it connect? Number 3 is question questions. Be on the lookout for questions. The ones we ask, the ones we fail to ask. Look on the surface, look beneath the surface. Strategies for formulating more powerful questions. Whenever you don't understand something, ask a question for clarification. Whenever you're dealing with a complex problem, formulate the question you're trying to answer in several different ways, being as precise as you can until you hit upon the way that best addresses the problem at hand. And then finally, whenever you plan to discuss an important issue or problem, write out in advance the most significant questions you think need to be addressed in the discussion. Be ready to change the main question if necessary, but once made clear, help those in the discussion stick to the question, making sure the dialogue builds toward an answer that makes sense. Questions you can ask to discipline your thinking. What precise question are we trying to answer? And so many people forgo that when they're asking questions. Exactly what is it I'm asking? I don't want to be vague and just accept a vague answer. I want to be specific. Is that the best question to ask in this situation? Is there a more important question we should be addressing? Does the question capture the real issue we are facing? And I see people neglect all the time. They say, here's my point, then they ask the wrong questions. So my question's not answered about the point you said you were going to describe, and that's disappointing to me. I need to check in the chat room to make sure we're still broadcasting because I've had problems of late with Radio Boss cutting out on me. I don't see, and let me go ahead and, I don't see anybody complaining, so let me play it back for myself real quick. There we go, it's working. We're coming to the close on this, guys. We did dip into critical thinking, which I always do. If I go off topic, it's usually to either get into humor, if I can do it, I'm not very funny, or to get into critical thinking, which I'm rather adhered to almost religiously. And I'm pretty decent at it, too. I've practiced it for many years. I've practiced questioning my own thinking until sometimes my own ideas stop making sense. The good thing about that is when you build back up your belief in whatever that idea is, it comes with support because you won't accept it any other way. A lot of things in my mind I just haven't visited with critical thinking, so I haven't torn them down to build them back up properly. But not too many. Not too many have escaped my sickle, or some people like to call it a sling blade. You can call it a sling blade. So this last one was be reasonable. For God's sakes, please, be reasonable. Be on the lookout for reasonable and unreasonable behaviors, yours and others. Strategies for becoming more reasonable. Say aloud, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm often wrong. God, if there's one thing you could remember from today, this would be it. Don't be so insistent that you're right about everything. You know, for one thing, it puts everybody else on the defensive, and for another thing, intelligent people know right away that if you believe everything you say and do is right, you're not very intelligent, because the intelligent person knows they make mistakes, and they also know they may be wrong. Socrates' most famous quote, one thing that I know, that is that I know nothing. He saw reality in its full form and realized that none of it was truly knowable. It was all interpreted. And I believe him. I'm just like that. Practice saying in your own mind, I may be wrong, I often am, I'm willing to change my mind when given good reasons. That's the most important sentence I've read today. Be willing to change your mind, your political viewpoint, your belief system, based on new evidence or evidence that at least is new to you, that is sound evidence. Please. If you're just sticking to your guns because change is uncomfortable, there goes your education. You can't learn anymore in that area. You've closed it. You've closed the topic. I have closed no topic in my head. Religion, politics, science, nothing is closed. It is all open. I put my education out there for everybody to take a whack at. If they come with good evidence, they're going to knock some of it down, and they're going to help me build it back up, whether they know it or not, into something more stable and sound and reasonable and therefore correct. Realize that you are being closed-minded if you are unwilling to listen to someone's reasons, are irritated by the reasons people give you, or you become defensive during a discussion. And to add to that, don't interrupt people. If you interrupt someone, do you understand the message that's coming across? What I have to say, person, is more important than what you have to say. For me, listening to that, as an intelligent person, I'm tuning out at that point. I don't want to hear anything else you have to say because you have no respect for the person you're talking to. And I don't like people that are cocky. Never have, never will. That's a personal judgment. That's the way I am. I like people that have class because I think we can all have class. And it makes for an easy world when people behave with class. That's all. So if you're going to interrupt people constantly, once in a while is okay. If you feel like, oh, I forgot to say something on my last point. If I don't get it out, I'll forget it. Something like that. I'm good with that. But if you routinely interrupt and talk over people, you're just disrespectful. So I don't like it. And if you're on my show doing it, I'll cut your mic in a second. Sure will. So thinking gets us in trouble because here are some of the mistakes we make. Jumping to conclusions is something I was just talking about 2 shows ago. Fail to think through implications. You think you want something. You think you want a law. But have you imagined what happens if you get that law? Think it out. Think it through, man. We used to play a game in high school. I played with the drummer I was telling you about earlier, Todd Jenkins, who drums for Bad Ace. Play a game while we were working at the nursery there called Nurseries. We were tree trimmers. And we'd play a game called What If? And we would imagine the craziest thing we could imagine and say, what if blank? That's using your imagination. One of the most powerful things you can use in this world in order to try to imagine scenarios that have not yet happened. And that speaks directly to the ability to think through things before you make your decision on whether or not it's a good sound plan. We think narrowly, we think imprecisely, we think illogically, one-sidedly, simplistically, hypocritically. I hate hypocrites to you. I don't preach it to me if you can't practice it. Irrationally. Once our emotions get involved, it's very difficult to be rational. We use irrelevant ideas. We miss key ideas. These are things we do. Give vague answers. Ask vague questions. You can't be a critical thinker while you're doing these things, folks. These things have to be eradicated from your system of thinking. There's also a how-to list for dysfunctional living. I'm not going to read that to you. I'll read you number 1. It says, surround yourself with people who think like you. Then no one will criticize you. That's a bad idea, folks. You can't grow if you do that. And there's a whole list there, 10 items. Please read this article. I've shared it in the chat room. I'm going to share it now on the Facebook announcement for this page. This article is going to make you a better person in many ways, I promise you. Teaching you how to sharpen your machine that you use to think. So the title of this episode is White Dudes Don't Rap, Please. I had to say please because of the 7-day positive thinking challenge. But I wouldn't have said please if I hadn't. And this is called, again, Become a Critic of Your Thinking from criticalthinking.org. So I know I've bored some people. Hey, Yeti Mike. Hey, Ash. Yeah, still broadcasting. I probably shouldn't be. But I stumbled onto yesterday this critical thinking thing, and I love to share that with people. I see it missing too much. And it's not about intelligence. Intelligence comes after you learn critical thinking. Critical thinking is about building a good, solid machine to take in accurate information. Intelligence comes after that. I can't help people with intelligence, but I can help them with thinking critically, meaning being careful with your thinking and insisting on evidence to support your beliefs so that your belief system becomes very strong and not flimsy, where people can pick you apart, come in from different angles if they've got evidence for their beliefs. So it will make you a better person, criticalthinking.org. If you ever find a flaw or mistakes on criticalthinking.org, I will read them on the air. We will discuss them. Otherwise, right now, that site is godlike status to me. If somebody said, Kevin, I got to kill the whole internet, but I'll leave one site up, I'd say, please leave criticalthinking.org up. Please. It's going to lead to understanding. It's going to lead to more intelligence. It's going to help us to evolve, or I like to say adapt, because evolution is a bit of a misnomer. Makes people think that when you look at the standard evolution poster that we're growing into something bigger, better, faster, stronger, and that's not necessarily true. All we do is change to match the environment. If we don't change, we die. It's that simple. Change, adaptation is what evolution really is. We're not growing into something bigger and better. We have to force that in our minds. Pigeon Lab is now following me on Twitter. Who the hell is Pigeon Lab? Is somebody in the chat room go by Pigeon Lab out of San Francisco? News and links about independent book publishing. Okay, this is one of my author people, so that's not one of you Spreaker people. Yeah, we're getting ready to get out of here. I don't like to stretch my shows beyond their normal capacity, and my voice lasts 2 hours maximum, and we're coming up on that now. Although I will say that since I started doing this show a year ago, I got to the point now where I could probably go the full 3 hours if I were caffeinated enough. Otherwise, I don't feel like talking that long. I wish there were a legal and socially acceptable drug out there that was stronger than caffeine. I really do. That wouldn't give you the nervous jitters, but would just really amplify your ability to think and act fast. I really wish. If you guys have heard any interference in the mic, it's because it's so hot in my studio. I had to have the fan on. I tilted it away from me, but some of the breeze is still going to pass the mic, so I try to keep that at a minimum. White dudes, don't rap, please. Nicotine, yeah, nicotine's one way to go. You know, white dudes that grew up in the ghetto, you have my full permission to rap. White dudes that did not grow up in the ghetto, you have my full permission to rap if you don't pretend you grew up in the ghetto and that you're a hard gangsta. But white dudes that are pretending you're hard gangsta and you grew up in the suburbs in a nice 2-story house, fuck you. And I don't know how to say that without being negative, unless I spell it with a PH. So I did spell it with a PH. Daydreaming is key to strengthening your brain and thinking skills. I agree with that, Dyslex. That works your imagination, and I believe that imagination is the most important quality of the human mind for intelligence. Got to be willing to step outside the box in your thinking, and that is imagination. I want to thank Ash, Dyslex, Aaron, Yeti Mike, and everybody else, Valerie, that stopped into the chat room today. We're getting ready to shut this mofo down. I have made my plea to white dudes that rap. I'm just asking people to be real. Be who you are. If you want to become hardened gangster, go downtown. Get into the ghetto. Sleep in the projects for a few years. Now you can come to me and talk about gangster. Not till then, though. Thank you guys for coming to the show. I've already played the commercial twice, so I'm not going to play that again. I'm not going to leave you with any music because you didn't come here for music. You came here for my inherently useful wisdom, and I have already dropped that upon thee. However, we could also add some wisdom from others. And I was just thinking, who could we call real quick that would give us some kind of wisdom? I think maybe Dr. Spock. I mean, he was wise, wasn't he? Ears pointed and all. Let's see what he has to say.
Greetings. This is Science Officer Spock, and currently
I never
there are
catch
no
him at
light
home.
forms available to take your call. But at the prearranged audio signal, please feel free to leave any verbal communication you feel is necessary. Live long and prosper.
Hey, yo, Spock, I think you need to get the ears fixed, because chicks don't be digging that. They're like, oh, no, it's a bat. It's like Batman, but the real Batman. That's no good. So He cut me off.
Oh, hello there, children.
Hey, Chef. Chef, you know where shit comes from?
From your ass, children.
Oh, oopsie.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Hello, are you calling me? Sure, I'm just after leaving the house, or taking another call, or I'm in the tub, or answering a call to nature. It's not in my nature to leave you without a word, so here's your chance.
Right.
Put in your 2 cents, and we'll return your call as soon as ever we can. Bless you.
Listen, I forgot to tell you guys something that was going to be a big surprise in the show, and I'm not one that likes to mislead. So I'm going to tell you very quickly. I can't spend as much time on it as I wanted to because I ended up blowing my time. But we have some new staff on the show. And now these are imaginary characters, okay, in which I will be acting like them. But I thought it'd be fun. I haven't heard anybody else do it. I can't afford a real radio show staff, so I'm creating a few guys, okay? Well, 1 girl and 2 guys. You ready? First one, Chewbacca. Yeah, Chewbacca. He's a Jew. You got to hire a Jew. You got to have a Jew to manage money. Chewbacca is world traveled, old man. Doesn't speak often, but usually does come up with something wise. He's sort of like Silent Bob, the character, but he doesn't always say wise things. Sometimes he says very average things, or occasionally he forgets what he was talking about, and he'll completely go off topic. And he'll still believe he's making sense. So that's kind of the funny thing about Chewbacca. He's also very hairy, which is how he got his name. Remember, I created this person. The gay OC Brit, yeah. It's a gay guy that was born in Australia but moved to Britain, so he has a British/Australian accent. It gets very confusing, and he pretty much is disturbed by everything. Everything gets under his skin. He doesn't like anything, and if you change the thing that he doesn't like, he won't like that either. So we have the gay OC Brit, or I guess I'll call him Gab. I mean, that makes sense, the Gab. And then the quick response bitch. Yeah. Hardly ever says anything, hates everybody. And all she uses is like 1, 2, and 3 word responses. So those 3 people, Chewbacca, the gay OC Brit, and the quick response bitch, are now part of the Truth on Tap team. And I wanted to let you guys know, you heard it here first. I think you're going to like them. I guess I got time to introduce each one, even though I haven't really practiced at it. I'll go ahead and try. Chewbacca, if you wouldn't mind coming in here, he's on the other side of the glass right now. Come on in. Now, I know you're shy, but yeah, come on in. Yep, sit down for a sec. Do you have anything to say to our listeners today? No, I know you can do the Chewbacca sound, which, you know, sort of adds to your persona, but I meant, did you have anything to say to them that really matters?
I don't have much to say. I'm a wise guy. I've traveled the world. I wear a yarmulke and Louis Castillo.
Louis Castillo what?
Baseball.
Okay. Louis Castillo baseball, says Chewbacca. The gay OC Brit.
Hello there. We're glad to see you. It's rather trite that I should be in there today. Listen to this. I've come from Australia, but I sound more like Britain. Would you like to have a coffee with me? I don't drink tea. See, I come from Australia. Oh, you've got a cute butt, man.
Okay, there's the gay OC Brit. I haven't practiced him. The quick response bitch now is not someone that I can do. So she's actually real. And I think it's important that we ask her a few questions just so you can get to know her very quickly here. Quick response bitch, you know, let's learn something about you.
What about me?
Well, that's what I just said. Let's learn something about you.
What's wrong with you?
Okay, what do you like to do?
Shut up.
Seriously, what do you like to do?
Shut up, you loser.
All right, are you going to tell us anything about yourself?
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're just being you're being a quick response bitch, you know, and it's kind of pissing me off a little. I'm thinking about firing her on the first day here. I mean, I can. It's America. Do you want me to fire you, quick response bitch?
Maybe.
Well, would you be mad if I fired you?
No.
Would you take revenge if I fired you?
No.
You would do something to me if I fired you, wouldn't you? Yeah, that was a fake laugh. I don't like fake laughs, so.
I can't stand this.
All right, well, why don't you go home then for the day?
I'm out of here.
All right, well, you guys got to meet Quick Response Bitch and Chewbacca and the Gay OC Brit. They are now new employees that help to produce this Truth on Tap show. And I appreciate you listening to the show today. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I hope you'll tune into my next show, which will be sometime within the next week. You know how I be doing. Thanks again for joining. And since that is that, then here goes this.